How's it going, everyone? We've got PlayStation Store's excellent summer sale running right now. We've done deals under $5, and then we did some more expensive deals. Now it's time to circle back to some cheap games. Under $10 is what we're looking at here. There's a lot of options under $10. This is barely, I shouldn't say barely scratching the surface. We're putting a dent in the surface once again, but there are more games that I am not covering in this video that we might cover in a future video. And remember that there will be a refresh on this sale. I think the date is August the 1st for that, so there will be more deals cycling in. So, yeah, be on the lookout for those. But also, do keep in mind, Sony is not mentioning this, and, you know, it's not really mentioned in, like, bold letters or anything like that, but a lot of these deals do end on August the 1st. While the overall sale ends on August 14th, some deals are ending on August 1st, while others are lasting until August 14th. You guys get the drift. It's actually July 31st would be the last full day. It's August 1st at 3 a.m. Eastern time. So there you go with that. But let's get right into it. Metro Saga bundle, 85% off for $8.99. This gets you Metro 2033, Metro Last Light, and Metro Exodus, the Gold Edition. It's a fantastic deal. Sometimes I'll mention the Metro Redux bundle whenever that goes on sale. And, you know, that's always a good buy, but when you can get 2033 Exodus and Last Light, and it's the Exodus Gold Edition with the DLC, that's a fantastic pickup. Metro Last Light is my favorite among the three games, but they are all three really, really well done, narrative-driven action FPSs with incredible atmospheres. That's what I can say really is strong about Metro. The atmosphere is incredibly engrossing. The ambiance is great. And they do the post-apocalyptic setting, so to speak, pretty well with Metro. So definitely check it out. Metro Saga bundle for $8.99. Certainly worthwhile to check out there. Next up, we got Detroit Become Human, 50% off for $9.99. Really enjoyed Detroit Become Human. Quantic Dream titles are not going to be for everyone. They are more narrative-driven, interactive titles. They don't have action gameplay or anything crazy like that. It is an incredibly compelling and engaging story, however, that is incredibly driven on choices and decision-making. And like I always say, but it's worth reiterating, how I recommend you to play a game like Detroit Become Human, a game like Heavy Rain, if you go back and play that, is play the game blind. Yes, you can look up online and look at all the choices to get, you know, the specific outcomes that you want, but I don't think that's how you should be playing these games, because the whole idea is that your decision-making has consequence, and you are eliminating that consequence if you're just looking online and looking up a guide. I get it that people want certain things to happen, but do that in a subsequent playthrough after your initial playthrough. I think the initial playthrough of playing these narrative-driven titles completely blind, not only from the standpoint of the decision-making element having consequences, but also from the standpoint of just not being exposed to any narrative elements, because with a game like this, you know how it goes. You start Googling things about Detroit Become Human, all of a sudden, you get something spoiled for you, and it's a major plot point. It happens all the time. You guys know this happens, so just buy it, go into it blind, you'll have a good time with it. $9.99, a great pickup there. Next up, Mass Effect Legendary Edition, $8.99 on that. This is actually not the cheapest this has been. It was 90% off for $5.99 at a recent sale, which is like, bro, what are we doing here when we're selling the entire Mass Effect trilogy for $6? I mean, crazy deal. It's just, it's easily worth $9, and it's a highway robbery at $9 as well. Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, as I always say, Mass Effect 1 absolutely does show its age, but they do an okay job of trying to refine the game for a modern audience. Mass Effect 2, in my opinion, is still one of the greatest video games literally ever created. Mass Effect 3 is quite good outside of the ending. Like, the ending is always going to stick out, and you know, I'm not even a Game of Thrones fan, but it's kind of like that. You know, Game of Thrones had a lot of great content, but it's that ending that so many people talk about. Mass Effect, even if you just assess Mass Effect 3, so much great content, it's that ending that really sticks out that a lot of people talk about. But it's still a worthwhile game to go through, and for $8.99 to get all three of these titles, just a fantastic, fantastic deal. Next up, we got Dying Light Definitive Edition, 80% off for $9.99. Dying Light 1 is great. Most people prefer it over Dying Light 2. I am one of those people, and I really enjoyed Dying Light 2 as well, but Dying Light 1 did a really good job of creating an open world game that wasn't overwhelming. At the same time, it was fun to explore. The platforming parkour was really, really well done. The visuals still hold up really well for this game being 9 years old. We're actually 9.5 years, exactly 9.5 years removed from the release of this game, which is wild to think about, but this is also a game that Techland kept updated for like 7 years, so think about that for a second. Dying Light 1 is great. $9.99 is a bargain for it, and definitely do check that out. Next up, we got BioShock the Collection, 80% off for $9.99 on this. BioShock the Collection is quite good. You get BioShock 1, 2, and Infinite. I did enjoy BioShock Infinite the most. I know that seems to be a little bit of a controversial opinion. Like, the people that love BioShock 1 really love BioShock 1. And guess what? I really enjoyed BioShock 1 as well. But BioShock Infinite, to me, with the setting shift, I just thought was great. I thought the gameplay was so good. And BioShock 1 is great as well. They're all great. BioShock 2 even is really, really good. Like, BioShock 2 probably is the weakest of the 3 games, but it's still a damn good game. Like, I remember having a great time with BioShock 2 when it initially came out, and then replaying it in the collection. Thought it was quite good there as well. I believe BioShock 2 was the one that also introduced, like, multiplayer initially, but obviously, you ain't buying this for multiplayer. Like, come on now. You're playing all the single players, and they're very, very well done. And yeah, definitely for $9.99, great pickup here. Kind of wild to think about that it's been so long since Infinite came out. It's been 11 years since Infinite, and BioShock 1 came out back in 2007. How time flies. Next up, we got Resident Evil 2, the remake, 75% off for $9.99. Kicked off the remake train, and I think, you know, would it be a little bit of a stretch to say that Resident Evil 2 getting a remake kind of showed everybody, hey, we kind of got to do a little bit more of these remakes of these classic titles, because I feel like after Resident Evil 2, the door got blown wide open as far as a bunch of other remakes coming out as well, which I don't think is a bad thing whatsoever when they're done at the quality level of Resident Evil 2. Different to my experience with RE4. RE4 is a game I played growing up. RE2, I don't have that nostalgic attachment to it, so I just kind of played it as is. Had a great time with it, don't get me wrong, and if you're jumping into it like I did, you're gonna have a great time with it as well. $9.99, great pickup, definitely check that out. Next up, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. I'll give it a mention. This is definitely not the cheapest it's ever been. It is 75% off for $9.99. I want to say we've seen this like 85% off or maybe even 90% off for $3.99 before. Pretty sure it's been down to $3.99. I mentioned Jedi Survivor, excuse me, ad nauseum as one of my favorite games of 2023. That's absolutely true, but I do think you should play Fallen Order before you play Jedi Survivor. Now, Fallen Order does have one of the worst level designs, map design, whatever you want to call it. The level design isn't awful. It's fine. It's like the actual map and the navigation in this game is abysmal. It's a literal abomination, and that fact alone drops the game down quite a bit. Thankfully, Jedi Survivor fixes the majority of that issue, but Jedi Fallen Order, from a navigation standpoint, is horrific. Like, horrifically bad. I can't believe, like, for as good as the game is in its entirety, how the navigation in this game is so bad. Like, a literal abomination. But the game is great. Cal, I think, is an awesome character, and the gameplay is really good. Visually, it's great. The PS5 upgrade is really well done. $9.99, definitely a good shout there. Next up, we got Watch Dogs 2, $7.49. Watch Dogs 2 is a game that I often recommend. You know, Ubisoft isn't my favorite publisher these days, but they do have these gems that I think turn out so good. And Watch Dogs 2 was a game that I often compared to Assassin's Creed 2, where it took the formula that Watch Dogs 1 had in place, refined it. With AC2, they refined it quite a lot. With Watch Dogs 2, I just thought it turned out to be a better game from a fundamental gameplay standpoint than Watch Dogs 1. Maybe you could say Watch Dogs 1 narratively is a better game, but Watch Dogs 2 I thought was quite good. Didn't revitalize the franchise after Watch Dogs 1 was a bit of a disappointment, and now Watch Dogs is kind of an IP that's going to go to the wayside, which is a little sad, given if you were around on the internet prior to the release of Watch Dogs 1, the hype around Watch Dogs 1 was gargantuan. I think people forget about just how big that we thought that game was going to be. I thought we really had another Assassin's Creed level IP from Ubisoft on our hands, and the hype for Watch Dogs 1 was absolutely there. Unfortunately, game ended up being a little disappointing, and yeah, Watch Dogs never panned out as an IP. What can you do? These things do happen. Next up, Mafia Definitive Edition, 80% off for $7.99. Cheapest we've seen Mafia Definitive Edition for. If you don't have any of the Mafia games, the Mafia trilogy does go on sale for $19.99, and that's probably the route you want to go, just so you can get all 3 games. If you just want to get Mafia 1, there's a well-done remake, and you know what? Yes, it's a fairly short game. You can complete it in a solid 8 hours, 8 to 10 maybe. But sometimes that's exactly the type of experience you need. I'm playing a lot of big JRPGs these days. I'm playing a lot of big RPGs, games that I sink 30, 40, 60, 70 hours into, and sometimes an 8-hour quick experience, it's exactly what you're looking for, and this does break up that experience of constantly playing lengthy games, as we're getting a lot of those these days. But $8 for Mafia Definitive Edition I think is great. Gameplay is totally serviceable, but it's not like a blowaway or anything like that. It's a totally fine cover-based third-person shooter. Narratively, incredibly strong. Voice acting is great, and visually, I think they did a good job of remaking Mafia 1. Next up, Infamous Second Son, 50% off for $9.99. RIP Infamous. I don't think we're ever gonna see another Infamous game. Sucker Punch busy with, you know, Ghost of Tsushima, and I don't know if Sony wants to take their well-received franchise, ship them off to other studios, and have them make games, which I do think would be effective. What they would rather do is create games like Concord, but let me not get into that diatribe. Infamous Second Son is a great game, not as strong as Infamous 1 and 2, which, by the way, we need remasters of those games. Not as strong as Infamous 1 and 2. Delson, not quite as good of a character as Cole, but still a damn good game, and it was really one of the key early games in that PlayStation 4 generation that showcased the PS4's power, and it still looks pretty damn good. Flashy gameplay. If you just go through the main story of Infamous Second Son, it's a fairly short game, but you know, you have both karmatic routes to go through, you have optional content. It's a good time, and $9.99 is well worth it. Next up, we got Control Ultimate Edition, 75% off for $9.99. Love Control. I've been critical about... I haven't even been critical about Alan Wake 2. It's more so I've just been open about the fact that Alan Wake 2 didn't really resonate with me. You know what did resonate with me? Control. I thought Control was awesome from a gameplay standpoint. Thought the narrative, you know, it's your trippy Remedy narrative, but it works well enough, and again, from a gameplay standpoint, I just think it's great. $9.99, goodbye there, and the Ultimate Edition gets you the DLC. Lastly, South Park: The Stick of Truth, $7.49 for this. Not a South Park guy whatsoever, just never really gave it a shot. I watched the special that came out a few years ago, and it's hilarious. You know what else is hilarious? This video game. As somebody that doesn't have any affinity towards South Park, I just checked this game out on a whim when it initially came out, was blown away by it. It has that humor, it's got a great art style, because it's South Park, and the South Park art style translated well into this video game. And then it's just hilarious seeing an IP like South Park get translated into a fundamentally well-designed RPG. Like, that's funny in its own right, and you're like, damn, yo, they did a good job of mechanically creating a good RPG, and that's what you'll get with Stick of Truth. If you are a South Park fan, this game is a must-play. You absolutely should play it. Even if you're not a fan, if you want a comedic, shorter RPG, you'll get that with Stick of Truth. $7.49 is great for this. That's gonna do it for me. Again, a lot of great deals under the price of $10, and again, this is barely making a dent, let's say, in terms of all the deals that are available, but good deals all around. That's gonna do it for me. Links to all of these in the description box below. As always, thank you for watching. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comments section down below, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.